Good morning. Thank you to the choristers. Thank you so much for that beautiful music this morning. Greetings to everyone. Welcome to our 9th annual service commemorating the life and legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's really nice to see you all back here in person this year, so we're very thankful for that. As I look out to you, it is clear that the spirit of collaboration and hope continues to move among us, calling us to come together, to continue to dream for the world in which love and equanimity overcome all forms of hatred and violence, and to work alongside each other, building a beloved community. Cedar Community is committed to fostering a culture of inclusion and belonging. We want to ensure that every person working at or with us here at Cedar Community, receiving services from us, living at Cedar Community, or visiting one of our campuses knows they are respected and welcome, and that their whole selves are honored, and that their unique gifts and experiences are celebrated and valued. There is always more work to be done, and in our individual lives, in the places where we work and worship, in the communities where we live, and in our national and global spheres. And that work is more informed and inspired when we take the time to listen to each other, learn from experiences and efforts that might be different than our own, and recognize our common humanity. So we are thankful that you have joined us today. We are also especially grateful to have Barshama Simon and Hadwat Sankari, the co-founders of Just Us of Washington County, who are here with us today, and they will be sharing about their work to support Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, as well as LGBTQ+ persons in communities across Washington County. As we gather here this day, may our hearts and our minds and spirits be open to the people we might meet, the things we do not fully know, and the hope that, in the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we can have the faith to take that first step, even when we cannot see the staircase ahead of us.
Called together in the midst of diversity.
We struggle to welcome our differences.
Called to be inclusive.
We are more comfortable with people who are like us.
Called to be equitable.
We resist change and maintain a fear of scarcity.
Creating God, remind us again.
Diversity is a reflection of your expansive spirit.
Inclusion is a mark of your beloved community.
Equity is your vision for your creation.
Enable us to embrace our diversity, not to divide.
But rather to draw us closer to you, closer to each other, and closer to whom you would have us be.
I invite you to join me in our prayer for community. Holy One, teach us to honor the inherent dignity in every person, realizing that although we are not created with the same image,
We are all created in your holy image.
bless us with the wisdom and the recognition that we can disagree without ever becoming disagreeable, that we can battle ideas without ever battling people, and that our minds can carry differences of opinions.
But only if we are united as one.
O God, channel our hearts so that they pulsate love and empathy.
Rather than emit hatred and apathy.
Focus our eyes so that they may see the unrealized potential.
Rather than focus on the obvious limitations.
Tune our voices so that they may speak words and sing songs of unity and empowerment.
Rather than tones of discord and division.
Guide our hands and feet so that they may become your instruments of kindness and peace.
Rather than tools of cruelty and destructiveness.
Help us fulfill the unique purpose for which you created us, each in our own way, by becoming your ambassadors of love and goodness in your word.
Today more than yesterday, at every moment, in every place, and with every person we encounter. Amen.
Good morning, everyone, and what a blessed day it is, and what a privilege it is as a community of faith that we can come together and pray our prayer of confession. Eternal God, creator of the universe, there is no God but you. Great and wonderful are your works, wondrous are your ways. Thank you for the many splendored variety of your creation. Thank you for the many ways we affirm your presence and purpose and the freedom to do so. Forgive our violation of your creation. Forgive our violence towards each other. We stand in awe and gratitude of your persistent love for each and all your children, Christian, Jews, Muslim, as well as those with other faiths. Grant to all and our leaders attributes of the strong, mutual respect in word and deed, restraint in the exercise of power, and the will for peace and justice for all. Eternal God, creator of the universe, there is no God but you. And the people can respond.
Amen.
Be assured of grace and peace. Martin Luther King once gave a sermon in which he said, "We know truth, and yet we lie. We know how to be just, and yet we are unjust. We know how to live our lives on the plane of love, and yet we hate. Or we are unfaithful to those we should be faithful to. We stand amid the high road, and yet we deliberately choose the low road. We know the ways of peace, and yet we go to war. We have resources for great economic systems where there could be equitable distributions of wealth, and yet we monopolize and take it all for ourselves and forget about our brothers and sisters. In that same sermon, King described the grace of God as something we all desperately need to live, this difficult and trying experience of human life. And then he quoted the writing of John Newton, whose thoughts were set to the famous hymn, Amazing Grace. May we receive that amazing grace of God that continues to open our eyes, touch and teach our hearts, and lead us home, where we might live together in true and lasting peace together. And God's people said,
Amen.
Brothers all are we. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow to take each moment and live each moment with peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Hello. Thank you so much for inviting myself, Barshana Simon. I'm going to introduce myself and will introduce herself a little bit later, but we do appreciate the opportunity to be here. And we are here representing just us in Washington County. So a little bit about myself. In high school, I initially started working with people who needed help with reading and writing. So that's how myself got involved with volunteering. And since then, I've been doing a lot of it. I previously worked in many nonprofit fields, including working for Milwaukee Public Schools. I volunteer with West Bend High School, and I also currently work for people with disabilities. Usually, when people find out that I have 5 children, the first thing they ask is about my marital status. I assume they would like to make sure that I'm not abusing their tax dollars, which is why. I tell you this because I know what it is like to need help and not know how about going to get it. Having 5 children, I think some of you know them, they all have different strengths, different abilities, therefore they have different needs. Having the 5 children and having them grow up within the West Bend High School, I know how it is like working with the school district and working with different teachers. It can be very challenging. So my family has lived here for over 13 years, And I'm still learning about the different opportunities and different programs that people can get within the community. I also know how difficult it can be when people who are in the community seem to be all related to one another. Think of moving to a new area, maybe moving 3 hours away. Think of meeting your neighbor weeks later, and maybe 3 weeks later going to the grocery store and meeting someone there. Then think of meeting another person maybe about a month later. What if you found out they were all brothers and sisters? How would it make you feel? You may feel that they're all conspiring against you. That might not be the case, but you may feel like that, which can be pretty discouraging for some people. So working with different students and different families and being a family new to the area, some of the common concerns are when moving to the area, people seem to be stopped by the police a lot. Maybe the police don't recognize the car, don't recognize the person driving, and maybe they just keep getting stopped. This has happened to myself. This has happened to others that we have talked to. There may be limited job opportunities because the person who is doing the hiring is not familiar with you, is not familiar about your background, is not familiar with your family. We all know that in order to get a job, many times it's not what you know, it's who you know. Some organizations in the area, hours are very limited. People have to go to work during those hours, and when they get off, the organization is just, the hours are not there. Another issue that we all have experienced is transportation in the area. Transportation in Washington County is very limited. Not only is it very limited, sometimes people may call to get a ride, they say they're coming, they're not coming, and vice versa. Having to prove myself to others that I am entitled to live here is very common to other people as well. When moving to the area, people want to know where you worked. They want to know how many kids you have. They want to know about your marital status. They want to know who you are married to or who your significant other is. And if they don't agree with it, then they may not give you the resources that are needed. As well, having kids in the school system, teachers often are trying to diagnose children with things that are not there. When my youngest child was in school, he took a while to talk, and someone asked me if he was mute. I had someone at his daycare told me that he should be diagnosed because they feel like he is mute. Knowing that my child talks all the time at home, I knew this was not the case. As well, many years ago when I first moved here, I went to the doctor. I don't recall what the issue was. It was something with my hand. So I went to the doctor. The nurse told me I had MS. So it was like a 3-minute conversation, kid you not, and the nurse was just like, oh, you have MS. And I'm just like, no. I didn't get seen by a doctor. They didn't do any tests. She just talked to me for a few minutes and told me what my diagnosis was. And yeah, so I understand about the different issues that people may have. People also having to be residents of the area for a long time is another challenge. I've worked with some nonprofits in the area, and before they give services, if you don't live here for like 6 months, they won't do nothing for you. They want to make sure that you're an established resident of Washington County. As well, there are no support groups, or I should say very limited support groups of people with similar circumstances than you. People also, sometimes when people move to the area, they are in denial that they need benefits. Some people don't believe they need any benefits, and I shouldn't say benefits because when I say benefits, I'm not speaking of things from the state. I'm just speaking of all different types of services. Also, people may not have the literacy or the skills to know how to apply for services. People, I know some of you may not believe, but there are still a lot of people who do not have identification, and identification for some people, for many different reasons, is very hard to obtain. There is also a lack of loyalty and trust before people feel like they can, they want to go with a certain organization, they want to make sure they can trust someone. I've heard of a situation in the area when someone had someone come visit the home to talk to them about services that can help their family. The person ended up calling child protective services on the person, and they were only trying to get help because they knew that they needed it. As well as we all know, there are a lot of stigma and biases in the area, as well as language and cultural barriers, I should say. Someone has also told me, which I know that this is true, when people come into your home, a lot of times they don't want to respect the rules, whether the shoes be taken off or whether a mask is worn. Many times when people have a home, this is the only place they have, so they want to be respected in it. And if someone who is trying to help someone cannot even take off their shoes or wear a mask, they feel that that's very disrespectful. And many times they don't want them back, which you cannot blame them. So how do I, continue just one second.
Hi everyone, thank you for being here. My name is Hadwat Sankari. I am also part of Just Us. This is my daughter Yasmin, who wanted to be up here as well. She's one of our volunteers, so she is part of Just Us as well. So just a little bit about myself. I'm a mental health and substance abuse counselor in Washington County. So I've seen a lot of the things Varshana's been talking about firsthand with a lot of my clients. A lot of the obstacles they face, racism, microaggressions, which just are barriers to them leading successful lives in the county. So really what we're hoping to do with Just Us is just create more of a welcoming environment and more inclusive environment within Washington County. So a little bit about our mission. Just Us of Washington County is a 501c3 organization that provides support and guidance to BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color, and LGBTQ plus individuals and families. We seek to help navigate and supply guidance for everyday experiences and challenges faced within Washington County. We offer support and access to resources that directly impact the well-being of others. So a little bit of background about what we've been doing for this past year. So we became funded as a 501c3 in January of 2022, so fairly new. So we currently have 3 board members and additional individuals who assist with volunteering and different events that we hold. We partner with a multicultural club with events such as the Black History Month celebration over at the high school in West Bend. We have volunteered with Bridge the Divide in Cedarburg, which provides discussions and action around racial repair and reconstruction. We've networked with other nonprofits in the area, including NAMI, Friends, Family Promise, Casa Guadalupe, just to kind of let them know that we're out there, if there's clients that they have that we can serve, and then also just that we can refer people to them as well. There's services that they can offer them. We've also held and organized monthly outings with families in the area to boost socialization, to meet others. That's an obstacle I think a lot of people face sometimes, is just feeling a lack of representation. So having space to come and be with others who are like you or share your values can be really uplifting for a lot of people. We also recently started a Diverse Families of Washington County Facebook page to encourage conversations between like-minded individuals and families. Just Us also seeks to create a sense of community for people from marginalized groups and allow them to feel welcomed in Washington County. So that's kind of our ultimate goal. So some of the people and families that we've helped this year. So something that we encounter quite often is families struggling with housing resources. So something that we can do is provide links into how do they apply for Section 8 if they are eligible for that. Oftentimes finding a list even of affordable housing can be overwhelming for people. So we've worked with the schools. There's school liaisons are wonderful in working with families. So we've worked with them, collaborated to create a list of equitable housing, affordable housing for people in the area. So even just providing them those resources can be really useful because people don't even know where to start a lot of times. Other things we've done is we've helped families navigate the school system and advocate for students who need support. Varshana talked a little bit about some of the issues that she experienced in the school system. Lots of families have similar things happening. So we've done things like working with the school counselors, ensuring that the kids are getting the support they need, whether it's with their IEPs or other educational goals they may have. We've also collaborated with administrators to make sure that the kids have the other options if what's working for, or if what's happening for them isn't working at the time. Many times the best service is just providing a listening ear. Sometimes people just want to feel heard, know that they are understood, and that can be extremely important, oftentimes something they're not receiving in the community.
So some of our goals include creating awareness of Just Us of Washington County. So opportunities such as these, where we're able to speak to people, let them know that we're out here, where they can share with their friends and family, is really tremendous. So if any of you have any other opportunities where we're able to come and speak to a group of people, that will be great. Other goals include partnering with like-minded individuals in metro areas. We are currently working on creating some partnerships in the Milwaukee area, only to expand our services to people who come out here. As well as we will be looking for a physical space. Currently, we do not have a physical space. We meet virtually and often at the libraries, and we do our outings at community areas. And eventually, we are looking to provide case management services. Ways people can help include, the biggest way is if either of you know any type of resource that can help others in the area, is just to email us and let us know about these resources. Like I said myself, I'm still learning. I've been here for over 13 years and I'm still learning about different opportunities that I never knew existed. As well, you may follow us on Facebook or Instagram. We're located at both areas as Justice of Washington County. And also Amazon Smiles. I'm not sure if either of you have heard, well, I'm not sure how many of you use Amazon, but for those of you that do, when you add us in Amazon Smiles, a percentage of, so let's say you bought something that cost $5, they may donate 50 cents to us. So it doesn't cost anything more, but if you purchase something from there, they will give us a percentage back to help our organization. So thank you.
Thank you, all three of you, for being here today and representing so many people that perhaps are not often seen. Not that they're invisible, but they're chosen not to be seen by others. And so it's with that in mind that we recognize and remember one of the great truths that Martin Luther King proclaimed about the moral arc of the universe. As we follow the moral arc of the universe, which bends always towards justice, and as we labor to realize the dreams we have inherited from those who have gone before us, for the sake of those here and now and here to come, we are invited and called to share the gifts of our heads and hands and hearts, time and talents and treasures. So today, we invite a portion of those treasures to support the work of Justice of Washington County, and may each of us give as we are called and able. I believe a basket may be passed around at this time, and take your time in getting that basket so everybody can dig deep.
Here are our hearts, here are Thank you, Varshana and Hotwat, for being here today and bringing the good news of the good work that you are doing in our community. We hope that what we offer here today, not just in the baskets, but in the listening and the hearing and the opening to what you have shared, will bring blessing and benefit to your work. We have listened and hopefully maybe heard something new or unfamiliar or perhaps familiar that we needed reminding of. And we wanted to offer an opportunity to do a little more reflecting, a little engaging, both internally and externally as we spend the next few minutes together. So hopefully, and on your way in the room today, you were encouraged to pick up 2 pieces of colored paper and a writing instrument if you had needed one of those. So I'm going to invite you into a little exercise with those in just a minute, but Nicole referenced a quote by Martin Luther King Jr. About faith and stepping out in that faith, taking the first step when we can't see the rest of the staircase. I've been thinking about that quote, and it's occurred to me that when I hear it, I don't know if I'm stepping up or stepping down. And this exercise, I hope, will invite us to do a little bit of both. That sometimes when we step on that staircase, we're stepping up to show up, to be present, to step into what is going on beyond us, and trusting that our doing so will be part of the difference that we are seeking and trying to make. And sometimes when we step onto that staircase, we are stepping more into ourselves, down into the center of our own thoughts, our own ideas about how the world is, our own biases or prejudices, and exploring what lives inside of us so that we can excavate that and maybe get a better sense of just how we show up in the world and what we might do internally to show up in a different way. So we have 2 exercises today. One sort of helps us step up that staircase a little bit, and one maybe helps us step down it. So on the first one, I invite you to take that writing instrument you either picked up or came equipped with today, and on one side of one of those pieces of paper, I invite you to write the words, "What is?" And then you can flip it over now, set the stage, and write, "What if?" Okay, so one side of one sheet says, "What is?" The other side of that sheet says, "What if?" All right. So on the "what is" side, I would invite you to imagine something that exists in our public sphere, in the world outside of us. Maybe one of the realities that Varshana spoke of. Maybe an instance of lack of accessibility to resources. Maybe an instance of exclusion or intolerance, or where we see our world leading with hate instead of love. This could be as broad or as narrow as you might like. Maybe it's redistricting to consolidate votes so that power is maintained as opposed to representation provided. Okay? Maybe it is the inequities we find in our public school systems based on where those lines are drawn. Maybe I could go on and on, but I'm guessing that you have some thoughts of your own about systemic issues of exclusion or disadvantage or intolerance. Does that make sense? Okay, so I invite you to write that on the what is side of that page. And then I invite you to take just a minute, flip it over, and imagine something that could change to make that situation better. It might not be something that you can do, it could just be just something. Right? So take a few minutes. Sherry is going to share some music to help us settle into this exercise. And take a few minutes to write something on both sides of those paper, and then I invite you to just turn to your neighbor and share what you thought of with your neighbor. All right? So on the second sheet of paper, I invite you to write on one side, our lives, and on the other side, our work. You know, okay, I'm going to just preface this for a second. There's been a lot of talk about heroes, especially when we gather on a day like today and celebrate one of, arguably, our national heroes. But I've been reading some thoughts about heroes, specifically posing the question whether a hero is anyone special, whether it takes some kind of extraordinary person to be a hero. And the consensus of the authors I've been reading is that it doesn't, that heroes are everywhere, doing their heroic things every day, and that basically all it takes is someone doing what is right when they see a situation that needs something done about it. We're not going to ask the grammar teachers how that sentence went. You get the idea. When a need is seen, or a challenge is presented, stepping into it out of the comfort of where you've been is a heroic act. So I guess I'm inviting you to tap into your inner hero for this next exercise and consider, remember we're going to step down to that internal landscape now. Can be some risky business if we're not sure we want to see what's there. And consider what experiences, what aspects of your own life have either been the recipients of, or the contributors to, the intolerance or oppression or bias that keeps people in those more invisible or unknown places to us, right? That just lumps people together and ascribes characteristics based on generalizations or prejudices. Okay, so look inside. What biases are there? What things have you done in your life where you may have assumed things about other people or participated in prejudicial thoughts or actions? Okay. So that is our lives. That's just our participation in the world. Okay? And then our work on the other side is something that you can see and say that you have done to interrupt this behavior in yourself or perhaps in someone else. Or if you can't see that yet in your life, perhaps one thing you might commit to doing. Need an example? If you see a group of young, rowdy people walking down the street, or you see a group of people congregating in a shopping center that maybe look different than you do, your first thought is not necessarily there's something to be feared or there's something wrong with what's going on. Make sense? Okay. So you will have music, you will have reflection, and hopefully more of that wonderful conversation that you had moments ago.
As we consider what is and what if, our lives and our work, we come to the time to offer our dedication. Let us dedicate our lives to building the beloved community, diverse, inclusive, and equitable, whoever we are, wherever we are, because we struggle to welcome our differences.
This day and every day, let us recognize the sacred dignity and worth of every person.
Because we are more comfortable with people who are like us.
This day and every day, let us lean into our discomforts and learn beyond our own experiences.
Because we resist change.
This day and every day, let us challenge our understandings and choose the difficult path of transformation.
Because we live in the fear of scarcity.
Let us practice God's abundant love, pray for abundant mercy, and pursue abundant opportunity and justice, not just for ourselves, but for all of God's beloved, this day and every day. Amen.
I want to thank you all for coming together today. It's a joy to see all of you here. And I thank you for coming to acknowledge this day and to embrace its call upon all of us. I want to especially thank Just Us for your work right here among us in ways that we didn't recognize. Let us go forth into the world to grow into the people of beloved community. And as we go, let us know that God goes with us, teaching us the language of love, guiding us on paths of peace, and showing us the way of compassion. Go in purpose and in peace. Amen.